just when you thought you had us figured out, we go special edition on you. Like they are lovable listeners. They thought, well, it's football season. They're going to go preview, kind of like a pickleball match. They go preview. No. Let's slide one in on you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special edition of Three Guys Before the Game. It's episode number 485 with our special guest. Would you please welcome to the program the head basketball coach of your West Virginia Mountaineers, Josh Eilert. Long story. I mean, you know how many obstacles we had to go through to get this guy in here?
6 gatekeepers.
6 gatekeepers, 52. I mean,
that is not true.
No, he was all over the world. I mean,
I know he was.
He was traveling all over the world.
I mean, let's be honest. I've been in Morgantown 17 years, and this is my first invite. I mean, there wasn't a slow week in there somewhere. You can slide Josh Eilert in.
He's going to fit in just fine. He's been here 15 seconds. He's firing shots, so we're good. Yeah.
We've only been on 6. We've only done this for 6.
I mean, I've been here the last 6 too.
Yeah. This is going swimmingly well. Okay.
No, it's good. He gets it.
No, it's an honor.
No,
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. Josh Eilert is with us. We're talking hoops coming up, and our program is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center. Right now, all of their 2022 fifth wheels are $3,000 under the invoice. $3,000 under invoice on all their 2022 fifth wheels. Check them out. Go to burdettcamping.com. That's burdettcamping.com. That's 2 T's. They're right next to each other, burdettcamping.com. Three Guys also brought to us by the wonderful folks at Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. I always tell you about the fantastic job they do. Their service people are outstanding. Outstanding service people.
They kind of go above and beyond, don't they?
Showed up at my house yesterday. Yeah. Came to the house.
You get more side deals.
Wonderful at Marion. Just terrific young lady. And working on some things there to make sure that my networking and my business data was safe, secure, and efficient for 25 plus years.
I'm telling you, they're terrific.
You think, what if Tony had NIL back in the day?
Oh, my gosh.
He's been embracing it for years.
Hey, Coach, he's always been working NIL, believe me. He's always been working side deals.
Futurist. I'm a futurist in the NIL space.
Way ahead of the game.
Kind of like Kansas was in basketball for years. They were future thinking in the NIL.
Don't get me started, please.
Three Guys also brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun, the premier pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. When you watch the James Bond movies, if you see Bond in a pontoon, that's where they get them, from Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. Visit them.
It's unconfirmed.
Still trying to confirm, aren't we?
Unconfirmed.
LouWendellMarineSales.com. That's LouWendellMarineSales.com. Premier pontoon boat.
We did have a beautiful Lou Wendell boat out on Summersville Lake in the last episode, Hoppy. That
Did you?
Yeah, beautiful.
Someone texted us back on that, and they said, you guys missed one of the things in the water. There was a dog in the water.
Didn't see that.
Didn't see the dog. We saw the flying WV on the seats and the flag. And
scenery in the background there.
The
nice
dog
boat.
I'll have to go back and look at the picture to see. Maybe Luke can bring that up. Luke, find that picture again of the pontoon boat. We got to find the dog. Also, Three Guys is brought to us by the people that put the gas in all the pontoon boats in West Virginia, Go-Mart. Go for good times. You go for Go-Mart right now. You can check it out and get that rewards card. You save money on your fuel, save money on your food, and they now have, just brought in, a few of the locations, have a 71-pound Reese cup that you'll want to get into. It's a little tough. Most of them will fit in the back of a pickup. Put the 71-pound Reese cup back there along with a 7-foot Slim Jim, and you're in business. Go for good times. Go for Go-Mart.
Unconfirmed as to which those 4 locations are.
Yeah, I haven't.
Just have to stop and see.
Waiting on that list. By the way, Mountaineer Man Trip. Go-Mart gets 2 people in a Mountaineer Man Trip. That'll be Saturday for the first time. They announced the winners last week, so congratulations to all those folks.
It should be great weather for that, right?
Should be really
nice.
rain.
Rain?
Should be really nice.
A little warm.
Okay, so here's the dealio. Josh Eilert is with us, Mountaineer basketball coach, and I want to start off because, throughout the course of this 6 years that we've done this podcast, I may have gone overboard a little bit at times. I exiled the entire continent of Australia when one of their punters never showed up.
True.
Had to mend that fest.
True.
I need to apologize to you because...
I'm all ears.
Yeah,
Mark that down.
Well, you'll remember this in a second.
Shocked he remembers.
Several weeks ago when you made the trip to go see Jesse Edwards play.
Thank you.
I was
does
lost.
owe him
I
apologies.
said, look at this video that WVU shot. And I said, think about this. Whoever's doing the creative video for WVU basketball, they got a free trip to go with Josh to go on his trip. I said, that's a great deal. And Brad said, I don't know if I think Josh shot that. I went, what are you talking about? Josh shot that. And then lo and behold, I call your confidant, Brian Messley, who runs the whole basketball department over there at the
under control.
Yeah, he got it under control. And he said, no, Josh shot that. Yeah, that's a heck of a job.
Well, what do you expect? I was a video coordinator.
Thank you. Literally what I said. Thank you.
I mean, think about the cameras these days. I mean, the quality is amazing. I just turn it sideways, and that's all they did. Like 6-second clips, and I just kept on bombarding our creative guy with 6-10-second clips, and there you go.
That was
you put
really,
it all together.
I mean, when you had the shot, when you were taking off, but then you had the thing, and like you making the whole trip over the plane, Hoppy, you just were on a 24-hour flight. So I thought it was really well done.
Give me your schedule, Coach. Give me your flight schedule, because you were.
Well, I mean, that week, I mean, we were supposed to go to Italy that week, and I came up with the ideas like, hey, what are we doing? We can't go out recruiting, so let's go connect. You know, our assistant coaches are fairly new for the most part, so I said, let's go connect with our own players. Let's recruit our own players. Let's go sit down with their families. Let's go spend some time with them while they have that break. And so my original idea is to go to Estonia first and see Kerr. His plans changed, and he wanted to go, off in the neck of the woods to see his grandparents before he came back. So back to the flight schedule, I go in a week's time, which you put it on paper, you're thinking,
can't do it.
I'm young. I can handle this. So I go Pittsburgh to DC, DC to Munich, Munich to Riga. And I'm like, I'm good. This is going well. And,
now, did you get a rental in Riga?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just took by yourself.
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
Other than the signs, they all mean the same thing. But
yeah.
Steering wheel on the same side as us, opposite side, everything was fine.
Good.
Okay.
No problems there. And then less than 24 hours or 24 hours later, I spent that whole day with the Netherlands national team. I turned around and came back. So I went Riga to Munich, Munich to Chicago, Chicago to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And that's 6 flights in a matter of...
Coach, by the way. Not business class. He flew coach.
Well, fancy coach. They gave me the exit row.
Oh, that's good. That works.
To me,
that's a big
just
save.
as good.
I'll take it.
To me, just as good. You know it. I know it.
Poor man's
first class. Totally good with that.
Yeah, then I turn around 2 days later, and it's all planned ahead of time. I'm going to go see Raekwon battle in Seattle on the reservation in the Tulalip tribe and see him on his home turf. So 2 days later, I'm taking a 4.5-hour flight to Seattle and then doing the red eye coming back. So
wow,
it beat me up. I felt it felt good for the first day back, but then day 2 and day 3 kind of wore on me, and it took me a while to get my bearings. But I mean, this day and age, if you have 8 flights and none of them are canceled,
oh, dude,
that's a win.
That's hitting the lottery.
That's a win.
You're living large. Which with this new league that's coming up, you might as well get used to that. But anyway, who held the camera when you surprised Jesse Edwards? That was the one shot you didn't shoot.
Yeah, twofold. I had a lot of time to sit there and wait because I had an insider that was working with the Netherlands team that was giving me all the details when they were coming in, X, Y, and Z. So I also I didn't know that they were going to film it. So I had the 2 ladies at the front desk. I said, this is what's going on. It was late at night, too. It was like, this is what's going on. Can you film this interaction? And I didn't explain it well the first time. They looked at me like, this guy's a creep.
Yeah, creeper, yeah.
So I said, here, and they willingly did it once I explained it better. But the shot that you guys saw was, I think, a manager or a strength coach that was told from the inside, like, you need to, because the whole team knew I was coming. Jesse didn't know I was coming. So they did a good job of welcoming me, and I spent a whole day with that team and really got to know their players, their coaches, their strength coaches, and it was just as much for me an experience, but as it was for Jesse to see his coach and see an outsider come in and join him. It was awesome.
Well, it was genuine. You could tell when he saw you, it was like genuine, like, oh my gosh, you're here, and you could tell that he appreciated that. Now, with that being said, and you said, okay, to your staff, let's go out there and visit our kids where our kids are. How much of that has been on your mind to make sure that you build this? Because it's, let's face it, this is as odd could be. And how important is that compared to the actual X's and O's at this point?
I thought it was critical from the jump. I mean, before they start looking at you and drawing up plays, they got to trust you and they got to respect you. And I told our coaching staff, like, let's build that. Let's start from a solid foundation and build those relationships up. And that's what we kind of intended to do, and that's what our game plan was moving forward. And we got great guys. No, it wasn't like, hey, I don't want to go see this guy by any means. But it was, everybody's like, yeah, I'm on board. Let's do it, because the opportunity to get in front of families and that recruiting process that was lacking because we didn't recruit them, a lot of them. So we need to re-recruit them in a way, because I kind of got the idea. I mean, JoJo's parents immediately came in. They traveled in, and they got like 5 or 6 kids, and they spent a day there. But they wanted to feel comfortable with who was coaching them. Mm-hmm. So we sat down for 2 or 3 hours one day, and I said, we need to do this. We need to go out there and spend some time with them on their home turf.
One clarification. So JoJo is Josiah Harris, who is going to be a true sophomore.
That's already graduated.
Yeah. How in the heck did he do that?
Yeah, how's that happen?
I mean, was he taking college courses in kindergarten?
I think he was, but like his mentality, which I was talking to him today, his mentality was take as many classes as you can while they're paying for it, which is, you don't see very many kids these
Similar
days.
to Hoppy, like when he goes to a place that's got free food, he packs bags. He just says, well, it's free.
He's already
Yeah, but
graduated.
2 years. That's taking that to the extreme. That's a great theory. We've seen guys do that before. Not 2 years.
No, right? And he's going to have his master's here probably in a year. And like I was like, what are you going to do? Get a PhD? And
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know.
Start it.
So he can
Start his medical rounds. His junior year, just start his medical rounds after the season.
But
can
in this
just
day
keep
and age,
playing.
this day and age, where do you see that? I mean, guys taking advantage of their education and really valuing that. And I think it's just beautiful.
And he can just keep playing. Just don't. I mean, for years, just don't even. Just let him play. Right?
Well, yeah, that's my thing.
Oh, it's your thing.
My thing. See, before all this COVID stuff happened, I always used to say every college team should have a franchise player that can play for 10. Isn't that a pretty good idea?
I'll take that.
Yeah, you get one really good player that's not, well, hell, with NIL now, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You can go make $70,000 in Venezuela, or you can stay here and make $250 in NIL and just be here for 10 years. Face of the program. I love that idea.
Yeah, see if you can pull it off.
Yeah, let's see.
Hey, the Raekwon battle one was interesting. That had to be a different, eye-opening experience on the visit. What was that like?
It was and it wasn't. We connected really, really well from the beginning, even when he came in on his visit. So I don't know if you guys know, Tony might know, in the early 90s, I spent 2 years on a reservation growing up. So I was 12, 13 years old, and I was forced by divorce to be moved up to South Dakota, the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. It was one of the poorest counties in the country.
Oh, I never knew this.
I had a background in that type of lifestyle and that type of, the poverty and the drug abuse and all those things that kind of happen, on a reservation. So I made that quick relationship with him on his visit. And so I was excited to see him on his home turf and see all the things that he's went through in his life and learn from his grandmother or his grandfather, his mother, his brothers, everybody on that entire reservation, and how they look at him as like complete inspiration. Mm-hmm. And the way he got out of there is making so much of his life.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine then that when you had conversation with him first, when he came here and you shared your story, that had to be like a lot.
Yeah, it was a connection right off the bat. And the crazy thing is that visit happened really fast. And it was part of the reason why he came in, because that connection that we had on phone calls, and he made the decision to come in while I was on the road recruiting, and I was supposed to get back on a certain day, have dinner with him, take him to the airport the following day, and have about 12, 15 hours of quality time with him. Talking about flights earlier, I get about 30 minutes to the airport in Atlanta. I get a text, your flight's been rescheduled for tomorrow morning. I'm like, I can't do this. I got to go see this kid. I have a great connection with him thus far, mm-hmm. and I don't want to miss my opportunity to spend some time with him. So I just turned the car around from Atlanta back to Morgantown on a 9-10 hour drive, and got there in time. I got there late, but that whole morning I get to spend with him, take him to the airport. So I got about 6-7 hours with him.
Wow, that is incredible. So, Coach, this is all fascinating. So how much when you're talking to these players, you're recruiting, you're re-recruiting, and we were talking before the show about NIL. So how much are you going to pay me, and how much is it that they and their families feel comfortable with you and the program? I mean, what's the equation?
I think that the younger the player is, the high school, I mean, they're going to go through the whole recruiting process, and they're going to want to see this, that, and the other. But when you're dealing with transfers, it's more of a condensed timeline. They've been around the block. They've been on the visits. They don't really want to be seeing all the bells and whistles. They know what's important to them. When you talk about NIL in terms of being a variable, it is a big variable now. But it's also who you're playing for, what type of facilities they have, what type of fan base they have, what kind of connection you have with the fan base, what conference you're playing in.
System? You get a lot of system questions like how are you going to play?
So there's all those variables, and then the way I see it, they kind of narrow it down to 2, 3, 4 schools, and then on the back side, the NIL piece comes into it, and then that's negotiated on the back end that's out of our control.
Yeah.
So you got to do your best on the recruiting side of things and hope that the NIL and the trust and everything like that works in your favor.
So you've described these amazingly hectic, unusual circumstances that you've gone through here in the last several months. It was an absolute whirlwind. As we record today, the 6th day of September, do you finally feel like you can breathe yet?
Yeah, the other day, the Labor Day weekend, I really took a step back and I didn't have anything going on. You know, I could hey Teddy, what are we doing? So
Teddy's his youngest son.
Teddy is my 6-year-old. He's a daddy's boy, and he wants to do everything with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 3 days with my family. I mean, we put the big screen out on my back deck on Saturday and put the game on. Ended up bringing 5 or 6 of the players out to come watch it with me and my family, and it was a great day. It's a great day. The following day, we did some things as a family and went to the pool, played a little golf with my oldest son, and I finally kind of got a chance to sit back and relax and realize how grateful I am for the position I'm in. Not exactly the way I thought I'd get it, and the opportunity the way I thought I would get it, but here I am. If you're prepared, good things can happen, and be ready for it.
I think this will go down as one of the all-time greatest stories about patience. I mean, mind-numbing patience.
Yeah.
16 years of patience. I mean, that to me is one of the all-time greats to see how this happened.
I'm a big family man, Tony, and you know that, and family is so important to me. And I remember looking my family in the eyes when all the uncertainty was happening, and I realized we've been here 15 years or 16 years, and in this business, when there's that type of security and job security, and that's a blessing, and you don't see that very often. So, yeah, I was patient, and I worked up. I started as a GA at K-State. I was a video coordinator here when I got in here in 2007. I did director of operations. I stepped in and got a taste of it as an assistant coach when Ronnie went out for a year, and I chased Oscar around all year. And then I went back to my role, and I bumped up to assistant AD for director for basketball operations. And then I finally got that year as an assistant coach, and it happened fast. Like I said, I've seen every area of that building. I've sat in probably 5 different offices in that building. There might be 4, but regardless, I've seen it all there in that program. And I was working for a Hall of Fame coach that really knows his stuff and how he operates. So I learned a lot from him, every day in the building, and obviously we don't see eye to eye on everything. And now I can take what I thought was we had differences and put my stamp on West Virginia basketball.
So 2-part question, maybe 3-part question. So that's a really good point. You've seen it from all angles. First part, at what part in that journey did you say, okay, I want to be a head coach, or has it always been that, number 1? And then number 2, along the way, how are you cataloging all of those different things? Because you mentioned you got this in a way that's non-traditional, but when you got it, you had to be ready to go. So how are you cataloging all those things that you wanted to do once the time came that you took over?
I'm not I'm not big. I don't put it on paper. Like I just store it away up here. I've always wanted to be a head coach. Well, I wouldn't say always. I went to school at K-State. I was a finance and marketing major. I worked outside of basketball my first year after I graduated. I was a loan officer in Seneca, Kansas, doing ag loans. So I found out real quick that's not what I wanted to do. I mean, analyzing credit and going and counting cattle for collateral. I was like, I'm a farm boy, and I have a lot of that in my background, but this isn't me. And my wife, Brandy, to her credit, she's like, dude, you're young. We're engaged. We're young. She was still going to school at K-State. Like, figure it out. Do what you want to do right now. And she was right. I went right back to Jim Woolridge at K-State and jumped on with him as a GA, as a graduate assistant, and got that master's in college student personnel and intercollegiate athletics. So I got my foot in the door. I knew he was probably on his way out because he hadn't made postseason in 5 years. This was his 6th year, but I was going to take that chance. And Coach Huggins came in as my second year as GA. We hit it off. We're pretty much, down to earth people, and we saw basketball the same way. And so we connected for a year, had a great year and turned things around at K-State. And then opportunity arose when he came out here, took the job. And I was like, why not? Brandy's like, let's do it. Let's take the opportunity and come out here and get a jump start to our career.
Coach, Ren Baker said at the announcement that you're the interim head coach, that he was not going to make any decision until after the season was over, so that gives you a lot of leeway. So as you prepare for the season, how often do you think about, okay, not only am I trying to win games and coach the team, but I'm auditioning for the job? Or is that on your mind?
It comes into play. First thing, when it all went down, you look up at the graphic and the interim was so stinking big. I'm like, who in the graphics department has zero faith in me? Like, they just can we make this any bigger?
There was no doubt.
Did we need 65 font? That was 65 point. Yeah.
Well, I hadn't proven anything. I got it. So let's move on. Let's figure this out. So we worked through that. But the way I look at it, I'm the head coach for a 10-month contract. And I'm going to treat it like I am the head coach, and I'm here for long term. And that's the way we operate every day, and that's the way you have to operate. We recruit for long term. We're building our program in terms of what we're doing, X's and O's. Everything is we have a long term vision, and we want to be here. And credit to some of our staff members. Deshaun Butler leaves the New York Knicks to come, and he couldn't get here fast enough. He said, "I'm in. Let's go to work." And he's been awesome. And everybody on our staff, and we're young, we're energetic, we're excited to be here, and love the fact that we got an opportunity to prove ourselves.
Can you slip Deshaun in? The guy. He can.
Hell, slip Alex in too. Alex
and
play.
go off.
DeMar Johnson.
Put him all
Jordan,
in.
you got a heck of a that's a heck of a staff there. If you want to line up and
could
go
go
5-on-5
against any staff in the country.
There's no question.
Literally.
And
any staff
DJ's as competitive as anybody, so he'll put that out there all the time. It's like, anybody wants to try us, let's go. So
That'd be a good one, wouldn't it? 5-on-5
like
coaches
to see
games. I see you posting Bill's self up instantly.
absolutely,
Just give it to me. Just bring it down the block. What do you think is being over talked about as far as the staff and the fact that it is a bunch of newcomers with the exception of DeMar? But Alex and Jordan and Deshaun, people say, well, they haven't called a timeout. I'm not going to, I'll give you my opinion after you give me yours, but go ahead.
They're right in saying that, and that's fine. It comes with a job. There's going to be critics everywhere. But we've been around basketball. Like I said earlier, I've been every facet of this organization. I've seen it firsthand, how it's operated. So have they. And each one of my assistants have a heck of a lot better playing career than I have. But so they understand the game. Have we called a timeout? No. We did add Coach Dickey to the fold. He's been a head coach at 3 different high major teams. So he brings a crazy amount of experience to the table, and it's an asset that people don't realize we have, that kind of went under the radar when we hired him, because we kind of made the big splash with Deshaun and Alex and Jordan and DJ who had been retained. But he's a great piece. Every day he brings a different angle to the table and says, hey, just think about it this way, or I know we're moving forward here. Have you thought about this? So even not only for me as a new head coach, for every single one of our assistants, that they're kind of first time assistant coaches. So he helps them on a day-to-day basis as well.
Mm-hmm. So my take on it was this, because as you said, you have seen, unbelievable amounts of basketball. You've been sitting there. You know when it's time to call a timeout. You know when it's time to change the defense. You know when it's time to run a special. You know when it's a time. It's just what you do.
Yeah, so that's what our lifestyle's been for the last 20 years. So whether it be the playing days or it's not always going to be, everybody's going to be on the same page, but the head coach is the CEO of the program. He's taking in information from everybody and trying to do right by everybody, but ultimately trying to win games. So sure, it would have been nice to have those Italy games and kind of get some dry runs, but they're not. You've been over there. They're not all that real. I don't know how helpful they would have been.
No, all right, you're right.
So we get a dry run and a scrimmage, which we're going to scrimmage, a close scrimmage with the high major SEC team.
Yes, he can't say who it is.
Super secret.
Really
Top
close.
super secret. Don't, God forbid, we wouldn't want to say that. Don't want to talk. Don't say
How
it.
close was I about?
Don't want any trouble there. Don't.
I just gave you the conference though.
It would seem, though, with this particular group, I would think the player relationship one, the skill development as you move throughout the season, you've got a heck of a staff there when it comes to skill development. And Alex already doing it great.
Yeah.
Jamar, right? You're going to listen to him. Deshaun and Jordan. That's about as good as it can get in skill development.
We've been using that. That's a huge sell for us recruiting.
Yeah.
If you want to get better, no better place than West Virginia, because we got young, energetic staff members that really put attention to detail on all those skills and developing those skills. And whether it be Jordan from the point guard perspective, or the really talented 6'9" wing out there, or guard that can be developed by DeMar Johnson. Think about him. He played 1 year as a 6'9" guard and went on to the league, and would have had a lot longer career than 8 years in the NBA had he not gotten in a car wreck. So then Deshaun's got all his connections overseas. Alex got all his connections overseas. So I feel like we got such a well-rounded staff. We're young. Let's be honest, we're young, but we're excited. And we're feeding off that energy from each other.
Mm-hmm. How do you want to look? Have you gotten to the point yet where you've seen enough of them running up and down the floor where you know what you can do offensively well? What will this look like?
A little bit, Tony. We've got a bare bones playbook that I sat down and we built, and we've got through some transition. We've got through early offense, but we've really mixed and matched everybody from a practice perspective, just to see who plays well with each other, who doesn't play well with each other. So we're in an experimental phase. When a lot of teams right now are just doing skill development, we're taking that 4 hours that we have on the floor, and it's all teamwork, and it's just like we're practicing. And we practice, we're trying to get that, because we're a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of a lot of those teams have that structure already in place, but everybody's new in terms of what we're doing. So we're trying to learn, and we're trying to throw that out pretty quick. And we're building, and we're like yesterday, we had our first 2 hour practice. It went great. The energy was amazing. People were making shots. They were feeding off each other. So there's going to be a lot to be excited about here for Mountaineer Nation.
Mm-hmm. Is that combos you're trying to see who plays well together mostly? I know you have a general idea of what skill set each guy has, but is that what you're trying to find there? And you best matchup and lineup combos?
Last week we finally got 2 pieces in that we were still waiting for.
Yeah.
There for the longest time we'd show up to practice. If somebody was hurt or had a sprained ankle, we were dealing with 9 guys. I'm like, hey, can we just get 10? So we can just because we had a lot of moving parts. Jesse was coming back from the Netherlands. We had a cook coming in. We were trying to get him cleared. So we had a lot of these things going on at the same time, and now we got 14 guys to work with, and we're going full steam ahead.
Good. You're gonna run though, right?
We're gonna try to play fast. Absolutely, we're gonna try to play fast.
Here we go.
So
get going.
Why not try to score easy?
Got athletes. Beat them down the floor.
That's right.
Hey, Coach, who's the Have you identified the alpha dogs? Because coaches can only do so much, and then the coach leaves the locker room, and then who's going to be the guy or guys that says, "Listen, man," and helps hold the thing together? Because every great team, every good team, has guys like that. So has that been identified?
It's definitely a concern of mine. Trying to figure out who's going to step up in the hard when things get hard. Who is going to step up in the right direction and get those guys? Let's go. Let's pull those other guys along. It's definitely a concern of mine. But they really haven't been in a position yet to really show that. I hope that a couple of guys and few that I have in mind are going to pull that direction when we get there. But they haven't really been in a position to show that yet. So I have that as a concern, but we haven't got there.
And some of that just emerges, right? I mean, you're going to see who takes over, who plays, and people will naturally gravitate to those.
And
you can't force that. You can't just go in and assign that, hey, Raekwon, you're going to be the leader. That'll organically
it's
pop
got
up.
to organically happen. If it doesn't, it's not going to work. So we got guys with a lot of experience. We got an old team, and if you look at probably the core of what we got, they have a lot of experience. And I'm trying to put a solid structure in front of them and let them play off each other because they are veterans in a lot of ways, and I don't want to stand in the way of their natural, instinctual way they play basketball.
We've talked a lot about Raekwon Battle and your visit out there. Obviously, his waiver is still up for debate. And I saw a stat that I didn't like last week, that less than 20% of the second-time waivers are being approved. You have
After 190% of them were approved, Kirchable.
Yeah, that's the biggest
You could have got eligible.
What are the rules
8
now?
months ago, you were eligible.
How come every now and then someone applies a rule?
Go ahead.
And otherwise,
Well, I mean,
Sidetrack there.
NCAA lets the cat out of the bag and starts approving everything, rubber stamp, and then they don't, and it leaves a lot of kids hanging because it's like, well, what happened? And so we're working through that. I think we got a really good case on Ray. I feel really good about it, regardless of the numbers.
Good.
So, and if anybody saw and really dove into his story, it'd be a no-brainer from the NCAA, absolute no-brainer. And I hope they see it that way.
I'll give you some of these names and tell me what you liked and when you put this roster together, because there's a bunch of different guys from a bunch of different places. Mm-hmm. So we go with the Florida State transfer and Jeremiah Bembry, highly touted. Injury, didn't play last year, redshirt at Florida State. What's he bring you?
He brings athleticism and length, and he's going to look at trying to eat up some of those minutes from backup point guard perspective. But he's got a lot to learn. He's never played one bounce of college basketball. Mm-hmm. So trying to get his feet wet, so to speak, and get him some of those reps is going to be a challenge right off the bat. But he has a lot of potential, absolutely a lot of potential, and with his length. And I've always liked long, big guards, and especially with that type of athleticism. I hope he can get to a point where he shoots it a lot more, gets at a higher clip shooting the ball, and we'll figure that out. We're going to rep him, but that's going to come with some confidence playing the game.
What do Mountaineer fans need to know about Kirk Harisa?
He's fun. He's fun to be around. I think that once they really dive into his personality, Kirk Harisa, they're going to fall in love with him. And
saw that video he had when he was home with those animals. Those animals were, was it sheep or what?
Well, you never know what's going to come out of his mouth, and it's very entertaining. We're going to have him on the radio show,
sure,
from time to time.
Style of play, what's he like?
He is everybody would want to play with Kirk Harisa. If you're a basketball player, he's going to find you when you need to touch the ball. He is a pure point guard.
So he's a pass first point
guard. And if you don't like playing with Kirk Harisa, you're not playing the game the right way. So, I mean, that's huge in recruiting. We got Kerr first, and then Jesse Edwards. Those two got connected. Like, who wouldn't want those two combination? If I'm Jesse Edwards, like, I want to play with a point guard like that in a pick and roll situation. So we got those hooked up, and like we were talking about earlier, Hoppy. Sometimes your players are your best assets in the recruiting game, especially if they get along. They don't shy away from competition. So all those guys want to win, so they kind of feed off of each other, and especially in the recruiting aspect of things.
What about Ofri?
Ofri's young. He's definitely a piece that's got so much, so many things, so many times you see in practice. Like, what did he just do? He's got a lot of that European game.
Exactly. That we don't see.
He's really skilled, right, Josh? I mean, got a lot of skill.
He is very skilled. He's got we know in the Big 12, like strength and athleticism. He just came in here and his weight is so low, and mainly because of his age, but he's never really seen a weight room. Now that weight room has put on 7, 8 pounds on him already. So he's just got to develop and get that strength because the skill's there. The skill is 100% there, and he's going to do things that kind of like you're going to look at each other like, what just happened? And he does those things in practice, and so long term, he's going to be a big piece.
All right, let's go into Quinn Slazinski, who actually played at Huntington Prep, from Houston, was at Iona, quick coffee stop, St. John's. Now he's here. Why'd you want him?
His IQ. First and foremost, his basketball IQ is probably one of the better ones on the team. He's top 2 or 3, and that's invaluable, especially for a first-time head coach to be able to not have to explain as many things. Like, he picks it up, and he's been coached by very good coaches. So when he came in, I mean, it's not a lot of explaining. He's like, everything comes quick, and so he knows how to play off each other. He knows how to make the right pass. He knows what we're looking for defensively, and he can pick it up. And then he can make shots. He's a stretch four that can make shots. So he's gonna play a big role.
Jose Perez, who obviously the most talked about Mountaineer that's never played yet.
Wait a minute, is he here
He
today?
got here your senior year. He arrived. Unconfirmed, but
he's also one of those guys that's huge in the recruiting process. I mean, he connects well with people off the floor. He has a really good connection with people, and if you're with him every day, you'll fall in love with him. He's very unorthodox in the way he does things, but he has a way and a knack of putting the ball in the basket. Mm-hmm. And you probably seen him at practice last year. And
Teddy Allen-esque.
Yeah, he has that Teddy Allen to him, and his head's on a lot straighter than Teddy Allen's, but
yeah.
He certainly can do a lot of things, and when we look at Jose and how we do things defensively, we'll have to get a little creative. But he has a knack for scoring that basketball.
Mm-hmm. Scorer more than shooter.
Yeah,
he can clear out end of the shot clock. He can get the ball and say, "Get out of the way, I got it."
Isolate him, and he can find a way to score it. 15 foot in and at a very high clip.
You needed size, and so you went to get a transfer from Georgetown, but we played against him when he was at UConn in a cook. Another guy that's played a lot of basketball. What do you see his role being?
He was probably the biggest, just such a pleasant surprise and a breath of fresh air for what we're trying to do, because he is so active defensively, and he runs the floor so well. And I think they had him tabbed as the Big East Defensive Player of the Year before he transferred us, and he has shown that in practice. I mean, he can get to the ball, he can alter shots. You can use him to, you could switch 1 through 5 with him. He can he can sit down and guard about anybody on the floor because
big?
he moves that well.
Holy cow!
So that's to have that versatility with guys like that. It's.
Coach is raising expectations here. I'm getting him.
He's not here to lose. He's here to win games.
I understand. I'm
he's going to win.
These guys, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
We didn't really have any. We didn't really have any size to back up Jesse either. So, and when I went over to Latvia, I'm sitting there watching these games, and I'm like, you got 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes. I didn't fly all the way from you heard the flight schedule earlier. I didn't fly all this way for you to sit on the bench because you got 2 fouls. We're gonna have to figure this out really quick. So we're gonna have to get creative with Jesse, mainly because he's been sitting in that zone for 4 years at Syracuse. So the first questions we had when he came in is like, how you do things on ball screen coverage. So he's gonna have to do some things that he's not used to, and we're repping that right now to figure out what's our strategy to keep him out of foul trouble. Mm-hmm. And anytime I see him, whether it be like yesterday, he rolled into a man on a pick and roll, and it's going to be a foul in this league every night in and night out. Like, we got to clean this up right now. So we got to be really meticulous with making sure we keep him out of foul trouble. And we have some pieces there, but we can slide a Cook. He can play the 5, and he can give us that versatility. But you're going to find out real quick you're going to want Jesse Edwards on the floor.
But you can play them together. You're going to play a Cook.
Yeah, they can play
with
together.
Edwards?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
That gives you a couple good shot blockers back there.
And especially when you have some question marks on the perimeter on how well they guard, having Jesse and a Cook to clean things up on the backside, that's definitely going to be very helpful and give those guys a lot more confidence to get up there and guard people. And God forbid they get beat, they got help on the backside.
That's huge. We mentioned Raekwon. Let's talk about him specifically as a player. This is a dude.
Yes, he's probably our purest athlete, and he's just smooth with everything he does. So, and when you watch him take a shot, and he lifts so well, so quick, and he releases it high, kind of like Deuce did, he can get his shot off about anywhere on the floor whenever he wants it. So he's a guy you can put the ball in his hands and go get you a shot. Now he's not gonna go by people on the dribble and this, that, or the other, but he can go get his shot with one or two dribbles and rise up and
Got to have those guys.
take it over people. And so he is a key piece, not only from the offensive standpoint, but the defensive standpoint, because he is such a good athlete. He can stay in front of about anyone. I know they probably didn't ask him to do that at Montana State, but because he was such a big piece offensively, but having him, he's a well-rounded player, well-rounded person, and just a guy that you want to be a part of your program.
Perimeter-wise shooting, who are you looking to there?
We're going to look at Seth Wilson's going to have to take a big step up. So Seth, Kerr's going to have to take shots when he's open. I know he's a pass first point guard, but he's got to look for a shot. Kobe Johnson as well. He's made like 4 or 5 threes yesterday in practice. You might go a week and not see him take 4 or 5 threes, and he made 4 or 5 yesterday.
So confidence is up for him.
Yes, and I told him 2 weeks ago. I said we're going to work really hard to get certain shots, and if you're open, you have to take it. I don't care if you don't feel comfortable with it or not, which he wasn't that aggressive offensively in the past. He's got to take that shot, and I think we've, in the last week or so, come leaps and bounds with his confidence. And to have him as a versatility piece as well as he guards, and he can back you up at the point if you need to, it's really nice to have him really building some confidence here early.
Josiah Harris, you guys loved him last year and think he could be a really good player. How has his 1 year to 2 year go?
It's been good. I mean, he's worked as hard as anybody in the gym, and he's, it's you look at how hard he's worked academically. It's the same carryover in the gym. So he is working that hard every day this summer to get better, and we're excited about him. He doesn't do anything great, but he does everything well, and he's one of those really good glue guys that you can throw in the game, and especially as a sophomore, and feel like you can trust him to do the right things. He's not going to mess the play up. He's going to guard to a high enough level to where you're happy with, and he's going to make shots.
He can knock down threes.
Yeah, he can make shots. So we're excited about him. I mean, never underestimate the value of a really good glue guy. You got to have guys like that. He's going to play a critical role.
You just hope him going simultaneously to law school and medical school won't get in the way. Hope he's still able to get some shots.
Most of that's online. So
That's
he'll be
true.
able to do both.
So do that.
He'll be on the bus. He'll just
Morning,
be taking
afternoon, then he can come to practice and play. He'll be all right.
Except when he's got labs. Yeah. When he's over at the medical school.
Law review, too.
Yeah, moot court.
incredible.
Moot court. Pat Sumnick, banger, back up, go in there and grunt work it, right?
Yeah, and he's one of our strongest guys. I mean, you watch him in the weight room. It's like he's up there.
Is he at your level?
It's tight. We're neck and neck. I'm not going to give it to him yet, but he probably is. But regardless, like, he can go in there and bang with a 5. He can give you minutes at the 5 like he did last year. I don't know if he wants to. He's more of a natural 4, but I just need to see him make shots more consistently. He's got to get his butt in the gym and really work on that, because if he's going to be that stretch 4 for us, he's going to make those shots, those pick and pop shots. So his opportunity, I mean, he had, with the way everything unfolded this summer, Jesse came in, and then one by one, all of our bigs left. I guess Jimmy was in the portal prior to all this going down. He saw the writing on the wall, so he went and took the opportunity at Mississippi State. But then you saw James and Mo both bail, and we never really had a legit, we had a couple pieces at the 4, but he can play both the 4 and 5. And I keep telling him, like, there's opportunity there. There's opportunity there at the 5. There's opportunity at the 4. You got to just learn both positions and give us whatever you got when you're out there.
He's a personal favorite, by the way. Great interview.
Is he?
We've had him on multiple times. Truly, he's a great interview. We love having him on.
Yeah. He's a great kid. He's a really good kid. So another one of those guys that, and I've said from the beginning, let's bring in really high character guys that we want to be around every day and want to be coached and want to bring that excitement. And that's kind of where we're at.
I don't want to take shots at anybody, but you're better at 5 than you were a year ago. It's not even close.
No.
It's not even close.
It was we had 3 pieces last year that we couldn't figure out who our go-to guy was. Jimmy was very serviceable, and you knew what you're going to get from him, but trying to score it, I mean, you weren't going to throw it close and score it. You just didn't have enough lift. And, so I was the bigs coach. I watched him every day, and losing Mo late in the season really hurt because Mo gave you a different look at the 5 that a lot of teams didn't see, and that hurt us down the stretch when we were playing Maryland. We didn't have somebody else to go to.
Defensively, what do you want to be?
We're trying to figure that out. I mean, we're taking a lot of the same principles and the same drills. And Coach Huggins was a great defensive mind, and it's ingrained in me. That's what we've been doing for 17 years. So will we have some different wrinkles to how we do things, maybe on ball screen coverage or what? Yes. Are we going to come out hot and try to take everything away and deny everything? Yes. It doesn't mean we're not going to have to adjust. I mean, every coach is going to have to adjust based on their personnel. So it's easier. It's just kind of like the being a kindergarten teacher. You got to come out hard to begin with. You got a bunch of teddies out there, 6-year-olds. So you got to put the hammer down there. We're going to do this. And then maybe later in the year, you back off and figure out what's the smartest thing to do.
So how much at this point, and the season will be here before you know it, it's here, how much this is what I want to do, or this is what we as a staff want to do, and how much but here are the pieces, so we have to adjust because of what the pieces can do.
Yeah, you have preconceived notions based on, the film you've watched of what they've done in the past, what you've seen your guys do here in our program in the past. So you certainly have preconceived notions with how those pieces interact and how they work together. But until you really get on the floor and you really take a deep dive in what they're doing together and what they're capable of, you can't really make those calls. So
do you know now? Do you know?
We don't know enough. I mean, we've probably only had 10 hours on the floor with them, with the whole team, maybe less. So we're still experimenting with, like I said earlier, with different combinations and whatnot. And there's so many things you got to do from a breakdown perspective that you don't really get into the 5-on-5 stuff that much this time of year.
And some of that's got to come when you play somebody else too, right? I mean, there's so much other stuff going on when you're just contained with yourselves. That's why those other games, scrimmages,
they're going to be invaluable.
See what they do against somebody else.
Yeah, so they don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what they're going to do because the coaching changes. So we're just going to go out there and experiment and figure out what we're best at. And let's back off. If something's not working, let's adjust. And it's got to be a fluid situation. We all know that. We gotta be fluid with what we're doing and be able to make changes on the fly.
Do you have enough? Real quick on that. You talked about one of your players with great basketball IQ. Do you think you have enough basketball IQ? Because it's one thing. Everybody thinks, well, just do something different. But I mean, you got 5 guys, people coming in and out, and people have to have basketball IQ to be able to make the changes you make.
Yeah, I think our top 6 or 7, like some of the older guys, they have enough experience where they can change on the fly.
Okay.
There's certainly guys at the bottom of the roster that you look at like that haven't got that experience, that it's going to be really hard to make those adjustments. But when it gets to the end of the game and it's crunch time, you're going to have the right guys on the floor that you can make those adjustments. And those younger guys are just going to have to learn and figure it out and get their reps in practice.
As this thing evolves, do you have some mileposts in your mind? I'm looking at the schedule right now. So as we record, we're 51 days away from George Mason. Do you have some mileposts in your mind where you want to say, okay, by this time I want to know this, by this time I have to be here? What are the next big moments?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I've got through a lot of my early offense and transition. I'd like to, even Thursday and next week, really start getting in some man-to-man action, and then I'm looking at two weeks away from trying to mix in some zone and then really figure out some other ways to change the defense. There's a lot of teams out there, they're 99%, man-to-man. So I don't know where I'm going to be at there. But I'm definitely going to have a couple things in my pocket in order to change the game. Every coach does. So I'm going to have to look at an alternative defense as well to throw in there. I don't know how far down the line it's probably going to see. You're going to have to feel that out to figure out how far you are along with what you have to have in first and foremost.
Yeah.
You got any side out inbounds plays?
You got any block?
You want to offer up some way? I mean, not rare to get the head coach here. You want to draw some up?
Take all the players and put them behind the line and have them all run.
Greatest play ever.
Run
Greatest play.
No one will see that
have to teach Hoppy some of the tournament blob. We're going to have to teach him like ball.
Is that called blob?
Baseline out of bounds. Blob. Baseline out of bounds. Yeah. Sob.
No, I don't know anything you should be doing.
Slob.
Slob. We'll send some later.
No, I can't.
I'm sure he's open to suggestions. We'll send some on later.
Brad does. He play.
No, we'll send some. Yeah.
Some guys that you've been associated with through the years. Frank Martin has come out and said very nice things. What has your phone call situation been? Because this is so unique and this is so unusual.
The first week was absolutely overwhelming. And I'm the type of person that wants to respond to every single person. And so I work pretty hard late into the night to do that. But it's uplifting in so many ways. It gives you a lot of confidence that you got that many people that are so excited for you and excited for that opportunity. And it slowed down after a week or so, but you still get new ones that like, hey, I just wanted to kind of soak this in. I know you're getting bombarded. Congratulations, you're going to do great. And those things are invaluable to me because sometimes you forget, you get so busy, you forget you just been tasked with an incredible opportunity, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity, and I'm excited about it. So it kind of puts things in perspective with how far, you talked about patience earlier. It took an incredible amount of patience to get here. So those things are great. I mean, I've been overwhelming amount of support from Mountaineer Nation, and being here 17 years, I've never lived anywhere longer for a stretch of time than Morgantown, West Virginia. So West Virginia and Morgantown is home. It's home for me, my wife, and my kids. They know nothing less than Morgantown, West Virginia, and the old Gold and Blue. So it's special. Like you said earlier, having that 3 days off with nothing to do and kind of reflect and enjoy it a little bit. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing, dude. I remember we're standing in the Coliseum parking lot with you about 12 years ago when the Big 12 thing was happening. You go like, "What do you think, dude? We're going to the Big 12."
I'll never forget that argument. You were totally against the Big 12.
I was.
You didn't want anything to do with it.
I go like, "What are you talking about? We're going to go to Iowa now. We don't want to do that." And that's ever since we've gone through it. I said, with the exception of the geography, I love it.
And since West Virginia's joined, it has been the best basketball league in America. That may be the upset to some people that didn't realize how good the basketball was.
True.
It's the clear number one, certainly for the last few years, without even any argument there.
And you just, Coach, I mean, you well know, you just, as good as the league is, I mean, you like a couple breathers, somewhere along the line, and
you don't need to tell him.
Talk about breather. So I was talking to Mess on the way in here. I was like, this was another moment for me. I was on a Zoom call with every single one of the new head coaches from the league, and the new ones coming in. And they're talking about 18 game schedule versus 20 game schedule, this, that, and the other. And I said, I'm definitely in favor of 18, but when you get to 20, okay, are we going to have an off week? Is there going to be a bye week in there? Because and they knew what I was coming from, because think about the travel that some of us go through. And Tommy Lloyd, he immediately spoke
Arizona.
up. Yeah, he said, "Yeah, I just assumed there was a bye week in there because they come from the Pac-12 where they have a bye week, but I think it's going to be invaluable for everybody as much travel as everybody's going to be doing, to have that breather, whether it be in late January or early February.
You mentioned Tommy Lloyd, so he's the head coach at Arizona. But, like, we've played those guys 72 times, so, like, you had to run in him through the years, right, when he was the assistant at Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
We didn't have very good
No,
luck.
we did not. No, probably didn't need to go back out there anyway. But anyway, that's beside the point. But, I mean, it's such a small, crazy... the way this thing goes around. Everyone knows everyone that sees everyone in your back, and it's just like, well, James Dickey's here. He was at Oklahoma State, and you're like, here's Lloyd. Now he's a head coach at Arizona. It's just these pieces are they just move, but they stay the same.
Yeah, and now we're looking at I grew up in the Big 8 days. That was the hardcore 8, whether it was Oklahoma, Nebraska, and football every year. I mean, everybody's talking about, for instance, the Colorado-Nebraska game coming up. That's an old school Big 8 game, and so it's come a long way. But here we are. You got what is it? Adapt or perish. We have that in the weight room above the wall, painted up there. Adapt or perish, and that's kind of what West Virginia has done over the years by jumping into the Big 12 and embracing it, because you had to. Had we not, I'd hate to know where West Virginia is had we not gotten to the league at that point in time.
I think you're the absolute perfect temperament for this situation that you've inherited. I mean, you are like, it ain't too big for you. You can just tell it, and the way you're handling it, it's not like you're not type A, all flipped out. And like Hoppy gets really nervous, puts lip balm on all the time. Gets very.
Why couldn't you just compliment Josh? Why do you have to take a shot at you?
I don't know why.
But you understand what I mean, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't say you were wrong. I just don't know why you had to take a shot at it.
I'm just saying you're the perfect temperament for this.
Yeah, I told our guys over the years, especially when we're doing scouting, I was like, we might be coming off a 2-game loss, or like two losses in a row. You can't get too low. There's another game coming. You can't get too high. You might have a big win against Kansas. You can't get too high. So you gotta stay even keel and just keep grinding every day and figuring out a way to keep growing. And that whole getting too high, getting too low was never my personality. I just try to stay as even keel as possible.
Which will be your sideline demeanor too, I would assume. You're just going to be you on the
I
sidelines.
don't know. I mean, I might lose my mind
Have you
from
thought
time to
about
time.
it? Have you given any thought to that, or it'll just happen?
Surely it's just going to come naturally, however it works out. I mean, I'm not going to like preconceived notions of how I'm going to throw a chair across the.
Well, I hope there is
the floor.
You got to lose your mind at some point. There's got to be at least to lose your mind.
You don't need to tell him to lose his mind.
At some point, sometimes you got to lose your mind and get the attention of everybody.
He'll be fine. I mean,
I've been creating relationships with all these referees behind
for
the
years.
Scenes. You kind of got to be the middleman between.
Yeah, he's like the good guy and a goodbye bad guy.
Now sometimes you're gonna have to be the bad guy.
Yeah, so
if you got to kick the ball into the stands, sometimes you have to do
hopefully
that.
some of those relationships that I've built over the years comes in handy.
They'll respect you for that.
No, we talked about the Big 12 earlier, and I, everybody knows who's playing who and where they're going this year. So it's kind of refreshing for the first year. Us being in the Big 12, we're not the ones traveling more than someone else.
Someone's traveling more than us.
So BYU and Central Florida will be traveling. We're the third most in the league. So like even they have a home and home, which makes zero sense between their catty corner away from each other in the Big 12. So those two have a home and home, so that probably builds up their travel numbers.
Central Florida just left, in fact, for the game.
Yes, I mean it's good for them.
But we're still waiting to see how it all plays out in terms of how is it laid out,
right?
Because as well as I do, Tony, in terms of the rest, and if you have the advantage on the rest end of things, and we looked at last year. Okay, we played Texas early in Austin. Now they hadn't played since Monday. We played on a Wednesday and traveled out there. Yeah. And we just walked right into a buzzsaw.
And they were fresh as heck.
Yeah. And that time of year, I mean, that's incredibly invaluable. And so you look at even the backside of things, same thing happens when K-State has to come to Morgantown for senior night. We hadn't played since Monday. They played on Wednesday. You remember how the second half of that game went. And they were a really good team. They came to Morgantown and they caught up with them. So when the schedule comes out, I'll do a deep dive into that. It's like, we got it pretty fair from a opponent standpoint in a draw. how's that gonna compare to how we drew in terms of the way it's laid out?
You hear what he just said, though? He just actually made a good argument for adversity for Kansas State. Coaches normally think they're getting screwed all the time, and he just pointed out the other side of that.
Well, K-State grad. K-State grad. He was just.
He also wasn't apologizing for that, nor giving the win back. That's part of the deal, man. You can't say, "Come on in, sorry."
You can't tell me I didn't want to win that one more than any other game.
So what? You got to play on short rest. So what? Come on in. He was just pointing it out. There was no apologies there.
For as good as those guys were and what they did in the NCAA tournament, that was a great win.
That was a great win.
That was a great Saturday inside the Coliseum. All right, buddy. We're going to turn the music on. We're going to let you go. We really apologize about not inviting you on anything for 17 years.
17 years,
incredible,
Coach.
It's a long
17 years.
You know, we can make you. I mean, we can make you a regular. It's just that I don't know.
So I'm the first men's basketball head coach to ever be on the show.
On 3 guys before the game. Yeah,
that's groundbreaking.
Did you? Was it good? You did.
No,
great.
this is excellent.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Exciting. I've always wanted to be on the show, but never got the invite.
There we go.
Never got an invite.
Glad
Tony?
we could bend that fence.
And my neighbor over here doesn't say a word.
It's Tony who lines up the guests, Coach, so I just want you to know.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do, Josh. Next time we'll invite you in with a Burdett camper. That's right. Right now, Burdett Camping. Fifth wheels are $3,000 under the invoice. All the 2022 fifth wheels are $3,000 under invoice. Check them out at the Burdett Camping Center, the only dealer in the state that offers you a warranty that lasts forever. As long as you own it, the warranty lasts on it. That's a good deal. 3 Guys also brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. You name it, they do it. From 1 line to 1,000 lines on their digital phone systems and so much more. If you need remote monitoring, visit comaxwv.com. 3 Guys also brought to us by GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Get the rewards card. Save on your fuel and your food. You know where they are. Visit GoMart. And by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun.
There it is.
Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. See the circle to the left? There's the dog in the water. Probably a mountaineer dog. Huh. Probably got golden blue flippers. Got golden blue flippers on underneath the water there. Beautiful.
It's a good
Summersville Lake.
That is a good
Also,
shot.
we had
last show. They should use that in their promotion.
We also had a studio guest. Hey, Brad, we had a studio guest back, Laura Eilert.
Yes.
She big P1 listener. Did she bring a big thing of fudge?
There's a lot of stuff out there. There's pepperoni rolls. There's fudge. Yeah.
We love Laura. Yes, we do. We love Laura and your fudge, too. All right, we're back. Special edition with Josh Eilert. Thanks so much for being with us. We're back again next episode to preview the Mountaineers and the Duquesne Dukes. That be tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. Our producer, Lucky Luke Rousey. Special production assistance by Brian Messerly. For the crew here, thanks for being with us. 3 Guys before the game. Over and out.